Broken Hill is a great stopover point on the way to many outback adventures, so join us as we visit a few of the nearby destinations. Let's start with a visit to Menindee Lakes, just 110 kilometres southwest of Broken Hill. There isn't much water in Menindee Lake itself, and the flow of water is controlled by a series of weirs to allow better supply for irrigation downriver. The lakes on the other side of the weirs are fed by the Darling River and kept full when possible to maintain permanent wetlands. This particular weir is located adjacent to the main railway line between Sydney and Broken Hill. The railway line forms part of the Indian Pacific Rail route and is used regularly. Better watch out, boys, train's coming. There are 4 main lakes in the system, and they were originally a series of natural depressions that filled during floods. Birdlife is prolific on these lakes, and this is a popular bird-watching location for travellers and serious bird-watchers alike. Now here's an amazing fact. It takes 12 days for water to get just 200 kilometres downstream to where the Darling and Murray rivers meet. In the centre of Broken Hill, you can find the Train Museum. This museum has a large collection of equipment related to trains and has many locomotives and carriages from over the years. Much of the local history is related in some way to the trains, and this exhibition is very hands-on, giving you a chance to experience the way of life for yourself. On the outskirts of Broken Hill, you can find the Living Desert Flora and Fauna Sanctuary. In the centre of the sanctuary is a hill that features the unique sculpture Symposium. It's an interesting name, Symposium, and it was probably chosen to make it more marketable. But it's really just a bunch of carved rocks overlooking the mountains of the Barrier Ranges. Each of the 12 sculptures was carved by a different artist from around the world, and each piece has its own individual story to tell. The display was put together by an artist named Lawrence Beck. The backdrop of the harsh mountain desert contrasts well with the carvings. It's certainly a popular tourist attraction, and quite a crowd gathers each day to take in the sights and the sounds of the surrounding desert. 25 kilometres northwest of Broken Hill is the small historic town of Silverton. A tramway was built back in the 1800s to connect Broken Hill to South Australia. A private company had to build it because of a disagreement between the New South Wales and South Australian governments, and the remnants still remain today. Silverton has been the set for many movies, including Mad Max. There are a number of historic buildings in Silverton that still remain, and once there were a lot more. But for the moment, it's time to spend some time with the donkeys. Yes, you heard me right, donkeys. They are very popular with the locals and tourists alike, but who knows where they come from? I think these donkeys can smell a tourist a mile off, and they were very keen just to hang around us. I wonder what it is they might be expecting. Maybe they think we'll feed them. We wouldn't do that. You're not supposed to feed the native animals. But these guys aren't native, so let's give them a bit of tucker. Ah, that's what they're after. It's lunchtime. Nowadays, the town is home to a number of artists, including John Dinan, who has his gallery here and displays many of his works, including these 2 paintings of Menindee Lakes and also of the town of Silverton itself. And you may even get to meet the guy who paints the pictures. Down at the Silverton Museum, you can find just about everything old. Many of the exhibits are from the township itself and show the day-to-day life of the early settlers who were silver miners. And that's how Silverton got its name. It's the Silver Town. The museum incorporates the old Silverton jail, which includes the solitary confinement cells that give you an insight into how the early prisoners were treated. You can even try out the equipment and the accommodation, although I doubt it's fun being locked up for the night. And this is the jail's exercise yard. Looks very inviting. There are plenty of other displays of the early machinery and tools that were used to extract the silver from the ground. Most of the early equipment is driven by hand, although there is power-driven equipment here as well. There are little rooms tucked away everywhere at this museum. This one contains many of tools and products used and made by the early blacksmiths and leather workers. There is much more to do around Broken Hill, and we have just touched the surface of the local attractions. So hit the road and explore for yourself.